The following is a presentation of the Telecast Production Group and was seen nationwide on CNBC, the NBC cable network.
This is a presentation of the Telecast Production Group.
Welcome to Profiles of America, the series of programs documenting the issues of our times. Doctors recommend we drink 64 ounces of water daily to maintain good health. That's sensible advice considering that 2/3 of our body weight consists of water. Most of us get our water from the tap at home or the drinking fountain at the office or school. However, headlines from Washington, D.C. to Monmouth, Oregon about bad drinking water has led to an explosion of products, some legitimate, many not, that treat your water at its point of use. Our program today looks at this young, unbridled industry as we focus on a company with 25 years experience in the field. Multipure Corporation, headquartered in Chatsworth, California, is a leader in the design, manufacture, and distribution of drinking water systems, both here and abroad. We'll examine Multipure's unique approach to this dynamic marketplace and learn about the possible dangers present in the water we, our families, and our friends drink. Water, the source of life for all living things, running cool and clear from melted mountain snows, down pristine streams, through rivers and lakes, and eventually into our offices, schools, and homes. It may be cool and refreshing to the mouth, but have you ever wondered about the safety of the water you drink? Far too many of us take for granted the quality of our drinking water. But according to a recent report from the Natural Resources Defense Council, it's estimated that half of all Americans may be drinking unsafe water.
I think a lot of that stems from our realization we don't know as much as we thought we did about the quality of our drinking water. I think there's a lot of real concerns, particularly with some of the newer waterborne protozoan parasites like Cryptosporidium. We really don't know their total impact in drinking water, and we recognize certain segments of our population are very susceptible to serious illness when they're in the water supply.
As an industrial society, we are definitely abusing our environment, and that abuse is resulting in some serious long-term health effects. Also, as a society, we don't seem to be able to keep up with the problems that we are creating.
The 1974 and 1986 Clean Water Acts were passed to end the poisoning of America's waterways. Yet each year, fertilizers, pesticides, as well as toxic wastes and chemicals contaminate our water supplies. More chemicals are used to treat our water, and additional hazardous substances may be picked up in the pipes between the water treatment plant and our homes. The United States Environmental Protection Agency has established enforceable standards for only 89 contaminants that may be found in America's drinking water. However, more than 2,000 different contaminants, some health-related, some not, have been identified in the nation's water supplies, leaving a huge gap between what's being tested for and what might actually be in the water we drink. Even those contaminants which are monitored may still be present in the drinking water up to the maximum contaminant level, which means the level which those contaminants can be found in the drinking water and still be considered acceptable by the EPA today. Our public water utilities do the best they can with what they have, but according to a government report, public water utilities in 3/4 of the nation failed to meet the standards of the Safe Drinking Water Act.
When we drink tap water, we could be exposed to any number of chemical contaminants, herbicides, pesticides, as well as other contaminants such as lead or microscopic organisms such as Cryptosporidium and Giardia. Recently, the General Accounting Office released a report in which they told us that there is a very large number of chemicals being dumped into the nation's water that aren't being monitored at all. There's no record of these chemicals even being used. The General Accounting Office concluded in that report that the Environmental Protection Agency's emphasis on the 126 priority pollutants just is not enough.
From waterborne bacteria and microorganisms to the toxins we dump into our environment, and finally to the hazardous byproducts of the contaminants we can treat, the water we drink may potentially put us at risk. What can we do to safeguard the quality of the water we drink?
The public can protect themselves from these contaminants that may be found in our drinking water by installing a point-of-use drinking water treatment device in their kitchen. In selecting a device that can best meet their needs, they need to make sure that the product has been thoroughly tested and, more importantly, that it has been certified to reduce a very wide range of contaminants, and especially those contaminants that they're particularly concerned about.
It's estimated that more than 900,000 people each year become ill from waterborne diseases, and as many as 900 die as a result. You can go ahead and blame us in the media for creating hysteria, but the facts speak for themselves. There were more than 250,000 violations of the Safe Drinking Water Act between 1991 and 1992, needlessly exposing more than 120 million Americans to unhealthy drinking water. A 1994 Times Mirror poll indicates that 88% of us say that water quality is our country's leading environmental problem, yet few of us do anything to protect ourselves. Our next story focuses on some people who identified problems with their drinking water and took action. There are some 1,700 point-of-use water treatment devices being sold to a nation concerned about unsafe drinking water. Yet there is currently no national certification of all the different technologies being marketed, making it difficult for consumers to compare them. Only a handful of states, including California, have established certification or registration requirements for water treatment devices that make health claims.
The intended purpose of the legislation that was passed several years ago was to address the issues raised by the public with regard to misrepresentation of water treatment devices and the false advertisement that was conveyed to them by unscrupulous salespeople. And secondly, to address a concern, a genuine concern among the population that there were chemicals in their drinking water that they wanted to remove to the lowest extent possible, and they wanted to access themselves of these devices that would assure them that that could be done.
States like California turn to NSF International to test water treatment units to certify that they meet the health claims made by manufacturers and distributors, and which, more importantly, allows consumers to compare these point-of-use water treatment devices. Multi-pure drinking water systems have been tested and certified by the California Department of Health Services, as well as other states with drinking water unit certification programs. Multi-Pure's unique solid carbon block filters substantially reduce chlorine by 99% and particulate matter down to a half micrometer, qualifying for the highest rating under NSF aesthetic standards. California also certifies that the carbon block filter in Multi-Pure models significantly reduces heavy metals, such as lead and a wide range of volatile organic compounds. Asbestos, trihalomethanes, turbidity, and cysts like giardia and cryptosporidium are also reduced up to 99%.
The Multi-Pure is designed so that it will not remove any of the natural dissolved minerals from the water, so that it provides the consumer with a water that is vibrant and healthy, that has the natural minerals in it that are essential to good health. The people continue to drink water that's high in calcium, potassium, magnesium, these minerals that are very important to a person's good, vibrant health. And this is different from the other technologies like reverse osmosis and distillation. And also, because of the density of the solid carbon block, its effectiveness in removing the volatile organic contaminants in the water is much, much greater than what could be achieved with a loose granular carbon filter. There simply is not enough contact time with loose granular carbon filters to be truly effective in its ability to remove the volatile organic chemicals that are found in our water supplies.
Residents of Monmouth, Oregon were shocked when they learned the water they always assumed was safe to drink was contaminated with asbestos.
As soon as we got the word from the city of Monmouth that we weren't to drink the water or use it for cooking or even give it to our pets, total panic just broke out, throughout the entire little community, and people were just running everywhere that they thought they might be able to obtain some sort of a device to bring clean water into their home without 146 million particles of asbestos per liter. That was the spike point that we had in our water, whereas the maximum contaminant level set by the EPA is 7 million particles per liter. So we had massive amounts of asbestos in our water, and it really panicked everyone.
Monmouth residents like Nelda and Bob Myers are reassured knowing the multi-pure water systems they purchased are certified by NSF International to remove asbestos.
Asbestos is known to cause cancer. The NSF testing standards for asbestos requires that actual asbestos fibers be used in the testing. When the multi-pure systems were tested, there were more than 16 million asbestos fibers added to the influent water, and the multi-pure system removed 99.9% of those fibers. And of course, today the multi-pure systems have been certified for the reduction of asbestos.
Well, because I was blessed and fortunate enough to have come in contact with the multi-pure company, I know that I'm drinking water filtered through the absolutely very best water filter in the world. And after looking at almost all of them that are certified to remove asbestos, I know that I did get the best one. And so I drink our water now with perfect peace.
The Coal Creek Elementary School in Louisville, Colorado, near Boulder, had the second highest lead level in the state.
Lead entered my daughter's school buildings via the lead solder that is used to fuse the copper pipes together within the entire building. And that is how the lead was determined to be in every drinking water faucet in the entire school. I took control of the situation from my own standpoint, and I went personally to the teacher and said, I represent a drinking water system that can remove the lead for my daughter and all of her classmates. I'd be real pleased and honored if you would use this as a donation for the balance of the school year.
Lead is known to leach into water from the plumbing in homes, as well as from the municipal distribution system, causing health problems, especially for young children.
Lead is the #1 environmental health threat to children. The effects of lead poisoning in children last a lifetime. It can cause their growth to be stunted, it impairs hearing, and it causes learning disabilities. Lead also impacts the health of adults. It can damage their brain, their nervous system, reproductive systems, and their kidneys. The national testing standard for the reduction of lead calls for testing dissolved lead at 2 pH levels and down to no less than a 90% reduction of the lead. Multi-pure drinking water systems have been tested to reduce lead, and multi-pure systems are certified for the reduction of lead.
Well, I like to say that our family's use of a multi-pure is liquid health insurance, that what's coming out of the multi-pure spigot is our insurance against contaminants that could be found in our water presently or what could be coming through the taps in the future. And that with the multi-pure between us and the tap water, that is our form of liquid health insurance and peace of mind.
Most water utilities use chlorine to disinfect our drinking water, but research now shows that a carcinogenic byproduct of chlorination is trihalomethanes, or THMs.
I first learned about THMs after I got my multi-pure system, and I found that I was becoming more aware of different types of chemicals and contamination in the water after I got my system. I had my system for about 1 week, and I ran into a friend of mine who teaches over at UC Berkeley, who's a civil engineer. He said, "Oh, you got a water filter, huh? I'll bet it doesn't remove THMs." I said, "What are THMs?" He said, "Trihalomethanes. They're everywhere. They're in all the water supplies because when you use chlorine, it creates a byproduct which is known to be carcinogenic." And I freaked because I thought, uh-oh, I went ahead and bought a water filter, and I'll bet it doesn't remove that because I'd never heard of it before.
Unlike chlorine itself, THMs are odorless and tasteless, but NSF International can test for them and has set standards for THM reduction in water treatment devices.
90% of the public is drinking water that could contain hundreds of different disinfection byproducts. Trihalomethanes have been directly linked to cancer of the bladder and rectal cancer in 10,000 new cases each and every year. In addition to that, the disinfection byproducts are known to affect our liver, nervous systems, and reproduction systems. The testing standard for trihalomethanes calls for the use of chloroform, which is one of the trihalomethanes, and that it be reduced at no less than 95%. Multi-pure drinking water systems have been tested for the reduction of trihalomethanes and performed at 99.9%.
I remember walking into the kitchen after learning about THMs and taking a nice big glass of water. After learning that the THMs were removed by the multi-pure system, that is, I walked into the kitchen, I poured myself a nice big glass of water and I drank it down, and I've never felt such a satisfaction from drinking a glass of water.
In the spring of 1993, a cryptosporidium outbreak doubled over the city of Milwaukee and showed the nation the huge impact this microorganism can have on our drinking water.
I think the outbreak in Milwaukee was typical of a lot of the other patterns we see in waterborne outbreaks of cryptosporidium. There suddenly apparently was a large contamination event in the raw water supply, which was not completely removed the parasites during the water treatment processes. So enough got through to cause a really large-scale waterborne outbreak. In the case of Milwaukee, more than 400,000 people developed gastroenteritis, and apparently more than 100 died from this type of an event.
A similar crypto outbreak occurred down lake in Racine, Wisconsin in 1994.
I was in a grocery store when the boil advisory happened, and I saw a lot of panic-stricken faces, and people were devastated because they had seen, and some of the people had gotten sick from Milwaukee. And then the manager came out with pallets of bottled water, and it was just like gone within 20 minutes. And I was standing there selling Girl Scout cookies, and I oversaw just the look on people's faces. They were panicked.
Low levels of cryptosporidium have been found in up to 27% of drinking water samples. Protozoa parasites, Giardia lamblia, and cryptosporidium cause 63% of the most common outbreaks of water-transmitted diseases.
People, if you ingest oocysts, you have a very high probability of developing diarrhea that may persist for 1 to 2 weeks. But usually in a normal individual, it's very self-limiting and you get over it. But if you're an immunocompromised individual, like an AIDS patient, it can become a very serious illness and has a probability of actually resulting in your death.
The testing standard for microscopic cysts calls for testing particles at 3 to 4 microns in size so as to encompass both Giardia and cryptosporidium. The multi-pure system reduced 99.95% of those particles and is certified for the reduction of cysts.
That was the nice thing about having a multi-pure unit in our home. Nothing really changed other than the fact that the children were now brushing their teeth with multi-pure, and but that was the nice thing, is we didn't go into panic in our home. Nothing changed. It was great.